We are so honored and happy to have Sherrie here with us. As a certified transformational life coach, financial representative, and studying Zen trilotherapy practitioner, I don't know if I said that right, Sherrie passionately guides women who long for more, M-O-R-E, to ignite their authentic self and design a dream life that gives them the freedom to work and live with inspired passion. In connecting women to their life vision and helping them in designing their personalized map that's right for them, Sherrie is a proven tour guide to the world of passion-filled abundance, your GPS. I love that, guiding you down your pathway to more. Sherrie, thank you for being here. We're so excited to have you.
I am thrilled to be here. Thank you for the invite.
Awesome. I'm going to jump right into the questions because I can't wait to hear all of the juicy things that you have to tell us. So on your journey, you had to discover self-love and self-acceptance. What did that process look like from you? What did it, where did it come from? And what tools did you use to find that self-acceptance and self-love?
Oh my gosh, what tools did I use? So many. Where to start? I think that, Marcy, I'm going to start with saying, just to give a little sense of my journey and how I've come to be really where I am now. And for me, I think my health challenges were really, I would say like mental health challenges. I really struggled my whole life to really know, who am I and what is my purpose? So, what that looked like is, in my early 20s, battling with a general anxiety disorder and, really, really struggling with that and not knowing, all of it, just having no sense of who I was. And that created such anxiety for me. And, moving from that to being in a career that, I would lay my head on the pillow at night and just go, I'm doing all the things that I'm supposed to do. I'm making, the 6-figure salary. I've got the benefits, the pension, the bonuses, all that stuff. I'm doing what, everyone told me I'm supposed to do. But I just have absolutely no sense of purpose or connection, to what it is that I was doing. So, I was always longing for more. And for me, that caused me a lot of angst and a lot of pain for a good majority of my life. And so I've really gone on this journey of going, who am I? What is my purpose? And how do I figure out what that is? And so when you're asking about, how did I come to connect with my purpose? For me, it was really a lot of different steps that I had taken along the way, a lot of different people that I connected with along the way. First and foremost, probably when I was first challenged with my general anxiety disorder, was just even going to a psychologist and saying what's happening? Why do I feel like I'm going insane? And starting to really ask those questions and step into, who am I? Because really for me, I had no sense. I think, and many of us are today in our society, in our families, in our, we're conditioned. We have, our families, not sometimes, unknowingly and not intentionally, but put, restrictions or boundaries or, ideals around who we should be and how we should be and how we should live. And so I really had no sense of who that was. And for me, it was, stepping there. And that just kind of catapulted me onto a more of a spiritual journey. And then it's really, I worked with different life coaches, different personal development gurus, and different people that supported me even in creating my business on both the inside, the outside creating the business, but the inside job as well. And just starting to unearth who is Sherrie? Who am I? What makes me resonate? And, I think that when we tap into that, that's when we're really contributing. That's when we're really inspired. And I will always say, inspired people inspire people, and that changes the world. So I don't know if that answers your question, Marcy.
Yeah, I mean, I think it does, at least partially. I wanted to chat a little bit more about this self-love piece, because I know that's kind of, something that we might throw around, or this idea of self-acceptance, but it's not that easy to just, wake up one day and love yourself or accept yourself. So for somebody who maybe needs to take the first step in that understanding to love themselves, what would you suggest? Is there something that they can, first baby step that they can take?
One thing, the first thing that comes to my mind that I would love to share is, for me, what I really had to learn and come to know is that it's not out there. It's not something that you go out there and find, right? So for me, I was always very attached to, what is my purpose? What is it that I should be doing? I know there's more. I know I'm meant to do more or be more, but what is that? So I got to go find it, right? So let's turn over that stone. Let's try this job. Let's go to this course. Like it was always going outward and going, when I find it, then everything will just fall into place. So I think the first step, I would say, is to go within, to start to learn, who am I? Like, even just as simple as, what are those things that bubble up? What are those things that just bubble up inside me? And I tell myself, maybe I tell myself, how am I going to do that? Or what's that going to look like? But just anything that kind of jazzes you up, to start to really sink into those. Those are messages that are clues to who you are. And again, I believe that when we are tapped into that, we can start to move into and believe in ourselves and start to tap into that inspired energy. Like, that's not there by accident, right? And we can start to tap into that energy and start to go, what are those things? And I think at the end, we'll share a document, a workbook that I have to share with everyone that'll start to help you to kind of, unearth some of that. When we start to think about that and step into that, those are the clues. Those are the clues that start to move us to that more, okay, now I'm jazzed about life. Now, I'm really stepping into who I am, and I'm connecting with what it is that makes me me and makes me excited in the world.
Right. So along with that, in terms of finding that, whether that's acceptance or love or connection with self, what does being authentic mean to you? What does that word mean, and how does that look for you?
Great question. Yeah, for me, authentic is always, it's a really big word because I feel like a lot, again, of what we're taught, conditioned to believe is that we go out and we get these things and we achieve these things, and that's what we're meant to do, and that's what makes life wonderful, and that's where everything starts to work. And again, without sounding like the broken record, I think it's coming back to who we are and what it is that excites us. So it's really, and I think it's really tapping into, and being vulnerable, like being okay. And I know, we all struggle with vulnerability sometimes, right? If these things come up and I start to actually say, maybe this is what I'm struggling with, or this is what, I'm not sure of, or, I'm feeling on shaky ground here. I think that when we do that, again, then others start to feel the same, and they can so connect to that. And when we start to have those conversations with other people and we realize that we're not alone and other people are experiencing the same thing that we're experiencing, then we can just start to have real conversations. And again, it's the real conversations that I believe start to unearth who you are meant to be, more of who you are. And I think, again, I would repeat that we're really not alone. I think all of us, are much more similar in my experience and in my work. We experience very similar things, but we think that we're going this alone, and oh my gosh, I can't share this with people. I think if we have the courage to be a little bit vulnerable and to be authentic, that's where the juice is.
Right. And I love that we're in this community where we are among like-minded people, heart-centered people, where we are able to have that safe space to share and support one another. That's really what we're all about. So thank you for that. I want to ask you, on your journey, if you recall, and there's probably several, but is there one that sticks out in your mind? Was there maybe an aha moment or a revelation that really kind of catapulted you forward on your journey? Maybe it was somebody that you connected with. Can you think of a time and tell us a little bit about it, what that might have been?
Yeah, there are definitely a few. I think what I would share here is I left the corporate world not very amicably, let's say. I ended up in a battle with my previous employer. I was always the good corporate employee, and rode up the corporate ladder and did everything the way I was supposed to do. And I ended up in a bit of a battle with my last employer when I left the corporate world. And that was kind of that place where I realized, like, this isn't working. This isn't working. Like, again, I'm checking all those boxes. I'm doing all the things that I'm supposed to do, and I'm miserable. I felt that it was crushing every ounce of creativity out of me. I felt that I was losing myself. I didn't maybe know who I was, but I felt I was losing myself more than I ever had. And I'm like, something's got to give. Something has to be different. And again, when I made that shift and I said, I'm not going back. I'm not going back to do, find another corporate career and, rinse and repeat and do the same thing. I was really committed to going, okay, what is it for me? What is more? What does that look like? And I think for me, I still, even at that time, was still sort of turning over stones and going, maybe it's this, maybe it's that, but also went on a very strong personal journey to sort of unearth, like, what's going on with me? What do I want? And it was in those moments that I started to really notice, it's like, it's all here. It's all in me. It's not out there. Like, it's the journey to me discovering who I am. It's the journey to me letting, if you will, that vulnerable inner child come up. It's me allowing myself to feel the emotions that I'm feeling and accepting them and not pushing them down and all that stuff that many of us tend to do, that doesn't work. And so it was really, I would say that was my pivotal moment where the switch is off. It's like, no, I'm definitely not going that way. I'm, going to make a switch. I'm going to go in a different direction. I don't know what that looks like, but I know it needs to be different.
Right. The leap of faith.
Mm-hmm.
The leap of faith that so many of us have kind of jumped off the cliff, not knowing where, when, or how we're going to land. But obviously grateful that we had the opportunity to do that. So with that, tell us a little bit more about how you do help and support people. Tell us what more stands for you, and how you support people on their journeys.
Yeah, for sure. So really, I would break it down into three things. First thing, it is that, as I was saying earlier, it's the inside job, not so much the outside job. Like we can look at what are the things that, again, bring that bubbling anticipation up inside of you, or bring that inspired energy up inside of you. But it's like, really, what's holding me back? What's going on inside of me? Who am I? So it's really taking on that journey to figure that out, because that is where, the gold is, when you really step into knowing who you are. It's also, I love to support people in, next, I would say, establishing and then living your why. And I think that is so critically important, and something that I think a lot of us don't, again, we're not conditioned to ask those types of questions. We're not conditioned to get to the core of what it is that is our why. Like, what is the core of what we really, really want to bring out into the world? I mean, I will say to people sometimes, it's like, those things inside you weren't put there by accident. And it's my belief and my experience that we all have those things inside of us. And I'm pushing the envelope here, but I will say to people, like, how dare you not give that piece in you that is yours alone. Only you can give yourself in the way that you give yourself. Like, that is how to establish our why and who it is that we are and what it is that we want to contribute to the world. Like, this, to me, is why we're here. Inspired people, and that changes the world. So this is why we're here, to contribute and to be, I will say to people, your youest you. Be your youest you. Some people will say to me, oh, well, maybe I'd like to, I don't know, be a life coach, but that really gets me excited. But somebody else is a life coach. Well, how am I going to be a life coach if they're a life coach? Well, you're going to be the life coach that is the life coach the way you're going to be a life coach. And that is really exciting to me, because, again, whatever is bubbling in you, we want to get to that. And then it's like, yeah, in a gentlest of ways, but how dare you not share that? How dare you not share that? That's inside of you to give. That's how you put your love into the world. That's how you share the love that you have to give, and how you pour love into the world. So that's kind of number two. And then it's looking at, okay, once we get to that place, practice, share it. How do I share it? Where do I share it? Where do I start? I'm going to start to support people with looking at that. Share it, share it, share it, share it, share it everywhere, because that is who you're meant to be. So.
Right. I love that. I love the idea of these, being the youiest you. I absolutely love, because there is no other you, right? And that's what we teach our kids, but somehow as adults, we forget that sometimes. So I love that reminder. And this idea of these, like you said, these gifts that we have inside ourselves, and really it's a choice whether or not we unwrap those and continue to give them to others. So those are such beautiful ways for us to share. So thank you for that. What would you say was the biggest win through all of this, the shifts that you've had to make, the changes that you've gone through, the things that you've learned? What would be the most significant win?
For me, I would say, for me personally, I could say for my business, but for me personally, it would be no longer denying myself, no longer judging myself, and just coming to a place where I can let whatever comes up come up. In my Zen trilotherapy practitioner training, we talk about that. It's like, let it come up. It's loving it. It's just any of that stuff that comes up, those fears, that's all just conditioning. And it's really just coming up to be healed and to be nurtured. And for me, that has been a huge piece in me really finally accepting myself and loving myself, and knowing that there's nothing to be healed. Like there's nothing wrong. There's nothing to be fixed. There's nothing to be, oh, I'm not there, I need to be here. It's not to be fixed. It's just going acceptance. We all are moving through that. And yeah, I think that's been really, really big for me, because before it was more always about, oh, I can't let people see this, or that's coming up and, ooh, I don't want to feel that, so let's shove that down. But all these things, they keep getting in the way. It doesn't matter as much as I want to shove them down. They keep coming up and they keep coming in the way to be healed. And they're blocking me from moving into, again, my most you-iest you, and my life of more, and my life that I want to give, and the love I want to put out in the world. So
right. We're getting close to time here, so if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I see there's one in there already. Sherrie, I'm going to ask you another question. If there's one kind of word or thought or sentence or quote that you can leave us with for anybody who might be watching here live or might be listening to the recording, if we're kind of feeling stuck or, challenged with that self-love or that self-acceptance, or really wanting to take a step forward on our path, what's the one word or thought that you can leave with us to motivate us to take that step or that jump or that leap?
You're not alone. You're not alone. Every person that I have worked with, people that I share with, if we're authentic and we're real, you're so not alone. This is like, we're all on this human journey, and we all have this stuff. The details may be different, but we all have this stuff. And with that, we all have, as I say, that seed, that inspiration, that something inside you that just lights you up. And I go, seize it, grab it. That's how you contribute to the world.
That's absolutely incredible and amazing, because our Wellness Warrior theme for the month of May is nature and nurture. Plant the seed, nurture it, and see what grows. I am going to leave it at that as we shift over to the question that we have here from Zoe. How can you live in your sweet spot without also having to prove one's worth? Sometimes I feel like a circus monkey trying to convince others of my worth or value, especially in the job market. Any tips?
Well, again, I think that comes to that inner self-work, that inner self-love, because at the end of the day, and some of us probably, again, we know this, or we may say this, but it's like that stuff is, it doesn't matter, right? What somebody else thinks of you. I love what Miguel Ruiz says in the 4 Agreements. It's like, take nothing personal. If they love you to death, don't take it personal. If they hate you, don't take it personal, right? Just do, again, whatever that's bubbling up inside of you, whatever fire you have inside of you, that's there for a reason. Move on that. If we just have to continue to understand and reassure ourselves, and that, if I'm on that path where I'm feeling inspired and I'm feeling lit up, there's always going to be someone that don't like me. There's always going to be someone that loves me, and there's always going to be someone that's neutral. And that's really none of my business, right? I'm just doing me. So I hope that helps.
Absolutely. There's always going to be doubters. Don't let that doubter be you, right? I love it. Sherrie, you have, you're leaving us with a gift. Tell us a little bit about what we can take away.
Yeah, I referenced that earlier. It's a workbook to find your passion purpose. Now, this workbook is just going to take you through a series of questions that you probably don't sit with and ask yourself every day. And it's going to start to nudge at some of those things inside of you, right? There's so much coming at us all the time. We often again, and we're conditioned and we have patterns and we have all these things that, you know, we live within because we're human. And I think these questions are really going to nudge at you and help you to sort of unearth some of that and start to see, hey, you know, this is kind of coming up as a pattern, or I'm really feeling energy around this, and start to give you a really good sense. If you're feeling like I'm not really sure what my path is or what my passion is or what my purpose is, it's really going to help you in starting to get a lot more clarity around that.